Appreciate you joining me again. We're going to be thinking about the account of Abram and Melchizedek today. The hymn that we're going to look at is a hymn that, once again, I was not familiar with, but the hymn is called Peace in the Valley.
Well, I'm tired and so weary, but I must go along till the Lord comes and calls me away. Oh, yes, well, the morning is bright, and the Lamb is the light, and the night is fair as the day. Oh, yes, there will be peace in the valley for me. Someday there will be peace in the valley for me. Oh Lord, I pray there'll be no sadness, no sorrow, oh my Lord, no trouble I'll see. There will be peace in the valley for me.
As I said, the passage we're going to be looking at is from the book of Genesis. In Genesis chapter 14, remember, Abram and Lot separated. Abram pitched his tent as far as Sodom. Most folks are familiar with what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah, but they may not be familiar with what happened in Genesis 14 when Lot and a lot of folks are taken hostage and there's just battles and wars going on. What ends up happening is Abram arms his men and goes and rescues Lot and rescues a lot of other folks too. You can read about that in the verses just prior to this. But he goes and he attacks and does these things by night, pursued them, brought back. Let me just move it up a little bit. I'm looking at it right now. Divided his forces against them by night, and he and his servants attacked them and pursued them as far as Hobah, which is north of Damascus. So he brought back all the goods. He also brought back his brother Lot and his goods, as well as the women and the people. Verse 17 now. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him at the valley of Shaveh, that is the king's valley, after his return from the defeat of Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him. Then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was the priest of God Most High. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand, and he gave him a tithe of all. Now the king of Sodom said to Abram, Give me the persons and take the goods for yourself. But Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have raised my hand to the Lord God Most High, the possessor of heaven and earth, and he would take nothing from the king of Sodom. So here we have the mention, at least in the context, and it's not the right word, but this is where we are introduced and where we see Melchizedek. And Melchizedek will be mentioned elsewhere in the Old Testament, namely the prophecies about Jesus being a high priest after the order of Melchizedek. But then you get up to Hebrews, and there's a whole lot about Melchizedek, because of course there's a whole lot about Jesus. And so in talking about Jesus being the high priest after the order of Melchizedek, and it harkens back to this passage. It takes the reader back to that passage, and it talks about, it says, consider how great a man this was, talking about Melchizedek. It says, consider how great a man this was, that even Abram gave a tithe to him. Even Abram, the father of the faithful, gave a tithe to Melchizedek. Consider how great a man this was. And of course, one of the points of Hebrews is it points us to Jesus. That Jesus is a better high priest than those priests of old. The Aaronic priesthood, right? All those things that would come later. But consider how great this man was, that Abram gave a tithe. In the passage, that's what it's speaking about there in verse 20. He gave him a tithe of all that that's Abram, gave a tithe to Melchizedek. And so we think about how great, it points us to, again, to Jesus, how great Jesus is. But really, when you look at the passage, really when you look at it, it's contrasts. Abram has a choice. Are you going to choose the king of Salem? Are you going to choose the king of Salem? Or are you going to choose the king of Sodom? And here Melchizedek is, king of Salem, the priest of God Most High. Hebrews speaks about his name as well. But it's a choice. And Abram makes his choice, and he says, I serve God Most High. And that means I'm choosing Melchizedek, because he serves God Most High. He's the high priest of God Most High, and I'm choosing him. I have raised my hand to the Lord, God Most High, the possessor of heaven and earth. And that's what we have to do. When we think about life, and we think about all the things that we will face, and we think about the wars that we have to fight, and we do have to fight them. We have to fight the good fight of faith. And we go through this life, and this life is hard. And we look forward to that day when there's peace in the valley. Look at the second and third verses of the hymn. There the flowers will be blooming, and the grass will be green, and the skies will be clear and serene. The sun ever beams in the valley of dreams, and no clouds there will ever be, no clouds there will ever be seen. Third verse. The bear will be gentle and the wolf will be lame. And this is the one I wanted you to really look at. The bear will be gentle and the wolf will be tame, and the lion shall lay down by the lamb. The beast from the wild shall be led by a little child, and I'll be changed from this creature that I am. There will be peace in the valley for me someday. There will be peace in the valley for me. O Lord, I pray. Sadness, no sorrow, no trouble I'll see. There'll be peace in the valley for me. What a wonderful thing that Abram was willing to go rescue Lot. Even though Lot had chosen to be in this place and he had run into trouble. What a wonderful thing that Abram went to rescue him regardless. And when we think about the Lord coming to rescue us, and we realize that as all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, we realize that we have sinned and come short of the glory of God. And we have put ourselves in this position. And we have dug our own hole. And we've brought it upon ourselves. And the Lord still came to rescue us. And as the Lord comes to rescue us, and he brings us home, there will be peace in the valley. And it's a wonderful thing that our high priest, the priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek, it says, that he came to rescue us. Our own high priest dying for us. Did you notice what Melchizedek brought out? He brought out bread and wine. Not sure if you can make too much of that, but probably like me, you think about what the Lord said about such things there in John chapter 6. But let's just think about the true bread. We think about, this is my body, which is given for you. This is my blood, which was shed for many for the remission of sins. And that he came to rescue us so that there would be peace in the valley. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good day. Join us tomorrow for another portion of our daily praise.